computer to other networks around the world. And if that's the case,
then
it bypasses.
You have to devise a framework?
No, it's already in place. It's
Okay.
built into Windows, and it's built into Mac OS X and Linux. So you can, with a couple of settings on your, it's very simple to do. You can connect up to a service that essentially encrypts all your data, so that nobody can tell what you're doing. Okay, it just looks like gibberish. But it goes to a VPN server, virtual private network server, somewhere outside of the evil empire, and let's say in Denmark, who cares, or London. And
Mexico.
at that point, Mexico, who cares, or even Canada. They don't even, they're shocked at what's happening here. And that would eliminate this whole net neutrality thing, unless they made it illegal to use VPNs. At that point, in my opinion, the Iron Curtains come down, and we're living in a dictatorship. And I would seriously consider moving away from this country, because if they start blocking our communications, that's what the Russians, that's what the Soviet Union did, that's what the Red Chinese do. Hitler
did that.
They're going to start. They'll start confiscating, the typewriters. I'm just being foolish, but I'm making a joke out of it.
Before.
Yeah, it happened.
That's
before.
the first step. If you're going to take over a country or a government, you seize their communications. You're going to cut down their communications. You're going to restrict it.
Yep.
I mean, this is an open air attack to me. But you mentioned Time Warner before. And I'm thinking in my head, but my wheels are still spinning. They're spinning so hard in my head with all the music industry. Time Warner is big into the music industry.
Yes.
And they've had a lot of problems with fraud and the torrents. And I do see the other callers. We'll get to you. The torrents. I'm thinking in my head, maybe they think they can get their old world back, what they used to have. Because they've lost quite a bit of money.
That's true, and that might be part of their motivation. I will say this about Time Warner. I think Time Warner, just from what I've been able to observe, is Time Warner is a pretty solid company. And they have I know that there are stories about them doing things in the past, but they have maintained a pretty clean slate the last few years, from what I can tell from my observation. And I'm sure if a caller...
for this?
No, I think that they are a survivor, and they are shifting their business partially to the data communication side, because cable TV is shrinking. People are not buying it as much.
Right.
It's getting very expensive, and people can't afford it, but they'll never cut back on their cable modem. And frankly, Time Warner, at least in Southern California, has been an amazing resource for business and for nonprofits. They run a very, very good network out here, and there's absolutely no throttling or reduction in bandwidth for any service. Maybe that'll change now, but up to now, I have to say personally, my personal experience with Time Warner has been first class, absolutely as good as it gets. What shocks me is Verizon is a company that had very high degree of engineering support for networks and for network service providers, for the people that actually provide service to end users. But now I hear that they are the main ones wanting to do away with net neutrality. So that it kind of is disappointing in me. But we'll have to see how they behave. I don't know. They're watching this closely as well. It's a recent decision.
I think our next caller, he's a programmer, if I remember this phone number correct. I'm going to pull him on, and I'm going to leave you on with us and see what his thoughts are on this matter, because I think it's important. Again, this passed 3 weeks ago, wasn't it? Or they changed the ruling 3 weeks ago. It's a proper way to say that.
That's correct.
And this is about, for those that are coming in to listen, net neutrality or internet equality. Let me go ahead and pull this person on. Okay, area code 914. You are live on Truth Talks Radio. Did you have a comment on this topic?
Hey, Houston. Hello, Bill. How's it going, man?
Well, it's not Bill. This is Pluto. Bill's detained right now.
Oh.
Pluto.
How you doing? I was, I called in the other day.
Right.
I think it's really important to have these discussions about net neutrality, SOPA, CISPA. We're coming to a point where these mainstream corporations are, actually assisting, the RIAA and MPAA with, exposing users. And they're trying to limit what we can access and what we can't access. So, as the previous person was saying, that it's very important to use a VPN. I use the Exit one personally out of Sweden. So, that takes
You're using a VPN?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
And I use an Exit VPN out of Sweden, so that takes care of all the copyright issues.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can say their name, so I'll just say it like this: Skamskast. I used to do work with them, and
okay.
They do actively scan their networks.
What do you mean by actively scan the networks? I'm I don't know all these different things.
Okay.
What do you mean when they scan the network?
They do monitor usage of their customers, and they say it's for their protection for botnets. But yes, they do that. They have detection for those items, but they probably also do, and I'm assuming, check torrent usage and other peer-to-peer network sharing.
Okay, so this alleged company would scan their networks.
Right.
I had interrupted you. I just like to learn a little bit as I go along.
Right. But supposedly what they do it for is to protect the end user from viruses and all that stuff. But we obviously know that they can check the usage otherwise for, what they're downloading and, whatever else, what they wish to. And, I personally had Verizon Fios. I had Verizon Fios at one point, and I actually enjoyed their service because I was looking back, I think it was about 6 months ago, they were in a fight with another company trying to expose John Doe's, and they were fighting back and taking the user side because it was such a it was a really open and blatant request that was on the part of that company that wanted user information.
Huh.
That's all.
Well, that's interesting. And I'm in shock. Just complete shock that they want to basically segregate the internet, or if they're even allowed to have like as you stated it, people that were, to avoid the people that are not net neutrality compliant. Would that be a good word? Just a good way to say it? Is this really going to happen? Will it be 2015 when it happens, or either one of you?
Well, if I may jump in,
Sure.
I think there is there's no set timeline for this. I have a feeling that these companies, if they were to suddenly start really screwing with things, and I think that, let's take Netflix as an example.
All right.
I think Netflix would be in court the next day, and they would be in court with the Federal Trade Commission over restraint of trade. And then at that point, the Department of Justice can say, perfect. We now have multiple complaints from different divisions of the federal government that there are multiple lawsuits now that and you might get it from the ACLU as well as a restriction in our liberties as Americans and a constitutional issue. Once you start stirring the pot and adding all of those lawsuits together, then the Justice Department has to take it to the Supremes. And then the Supreme Court's going to have to rule on it. And I think the Supreme Court's going to say this is stupid. This is not only a restraint of trade, you are screwing with it's exactly the same as the pornography rulings of the 70s, where the Supreme Court said, I don't know what pornography is, but I know it when I see it. That was sort of a code word for one person's pornography is another person's fine art, and that pornographic standards have to be locally decided by the geographic area. We are too big of a country to set standards that are universal in every state. So if a state like a state that is very religious says that a piece of art that defames a religious symbol is pornographic, then that means that is illegal in that community. If making it illegal nationwide, can't do that, because in another community they may find that to be a form of expression, and expression is protected under the Constitution. So that's what happened, and I have a feeling that would solve this problem if we end up with some big entity like Netflix, which is a big company, having their business model destroyed because Time Warner or some other company says, you know what, we're not going to carry their traffic anymore. And it's not because we make TV shows or own a cable TV. It's because they use too much bandwidth. They say now Netflix takes up something like 25% of all network activity, of the bandwidth right now. People are watching Netflix. Everybody watches Netflix. I mean, everybody I know has a $7.99 account, and they watch it all night long. I can see it all over my cable system. People use it all the time. I use it all the time. Everybody uses it all the time. What if they suddenly said, hey, we don't want to carry this anymore. You buy your service, we'll sell it to you. Or what if they wanted to say, if you want to get unlimited movies, that'll be an extra $20 a month. Well, now they're taxing the internet. They're saying, here's the special tax, the movie tax, so that you can watch Netflix, but you have to pay not only the Netflix price, but now you have to pay an extra fee to watch movies on the internet. That is just that will kill the internet.
Also, if I may add another point here, I feel that I do want to touch on the reasons of illegal downloading. I feel that the rise of that, peer-to-peer networks and torrents, I feel that just the industry itself is failing. The music and movie industry. There's so much. I don't know the word for it, but it's just so much politics into it. Where I'm paying like $12 for a movie ticket now, where I live. Who wants to go and pay $12 to go see a movie? It's just not reasonable when someone can download it for free or buy it cheaper. I feel that that's also what's hurting these industries, and which is causing the peer-to-peer networks, which is leading to this net neutrality. It's all a cause and factor, cause and effect. Same thing with music. Most of the music that people buy, that goes to the record company and to the RIAA. The artist only makes let's say like 2% of that. They don't make that much.
No, they don't. It's at the concerts that they make quite a bit of money, the tickets.
Right. And, that's the reason why. And what if they put in place a way that people can set their own price for what they think it's worth, then maybe their sales will go up, cutting out the RIAA and the record company. And this would help, musicians and artists get out there and make the actual money that they need.
Well, I will say about downloading those torrents of the movies, that's something I do not do, would never want to do, because that's somebody's hard work. That's somebody's hard work, and I don't think it's the right thing to do in our economy to shortchange that industry, because that industry is going to come out with poorer and poorer quality, and we're seeing that now. if you remember back in the 70s,